What's up, welcome back to Nostalgia. Dave here with a review of M. Night Shyamalan's new thriller film, Trap, starring Josh Hartnett. The latest film from M. Night is here. M. Night's been on kind of the comeback trail, I guess you could say, ever since Split. The last, 4 or 5 movies have been largely well received, as M. Night has maybe attempted to branch out beyond the parody of his filmmaking and become almost like a celebrated B movie filmmaker at this point. And whether the movies are good or not, and obviously his movies remain up and down, he remains a polarizing filmmaker overall in terms of his overall effectiveness as the whole package as a filmmaker. I really root for and celebrate M. Night because he is often financing or co-financing a lot of his movies, and he's really getting things done inside and also independent of the studio system in a way few filmmakers are able to do these days. So he's the type of creator we should be rooting for in the modern film industry. And the M. Night Shyamalan family has, in general, been in the news with M. Night's daughter, Shauna, making her directorial debut earlier this year with the horror film The Watchers, and also M. Night's oldest daughter, Suleika, making her acting debut in Trap alongside Josh Hartnett. And Josh Hartnett, of course, is well timed for him to continue the Josh Hartnett-assance, so to speak, between his great performance in Oppenheimer last year, a great cameo performance in The Bear Season 3 just last 2 months ago, and now the lead role in an M. Night Shyamalan thriller film. Hartnett has really established himself once again as a leading man, I think. But the question remains, is M. Night Shyamalan's latest film good? I think Trap from M. Night Shyamalan overall is a really fun, enjoyable time. At its core, the film is very high concept. What if a serial killer gets trapped by law enforcement at a A-list pop star's arena concert? Can that serial killer escape? Or will he be caught? That's a really tight premise, kind of a classic M. Night framing of a film. And I think that first part of the setup really works. Hartnett's performance, very committed throughout the entire time. Unfortunately, Trap falls a bit short as the movie progresses, where the plot progression gets incredibly contrived and starts to really strain belief. I still enjoyed the ride, so to speak, as the movie progresses through Act 2 and concludes, whereas I was really digging the beginning and the setup of the movie. I just think the execution at the end, plot kind of falls apart. There's some elements with Hart's character, his motivations, his past that isn't fully developed enough to, I think, to totally work, totally land. But I just think for what this movie is, it was still pretty enjoyable. As I said, I think the setup really works. Hartnett, clearly this dad who's trying to make it up to his kid and be a good dad, right? Taking her to a concert, they're sitting on the floor, and you can tell he's a bit shifty, but putting on a show for his daughter, trying to be a good dad. And I think all of that really works. I think the kind of issues with the movie start to arise where, obviously Hartnett's character realizes there's this scheme, learns about this scheme to trap and basically interrogate every adult man at this concert, 3,000 plus of them. And the FBI and law enforcement are gonna find them because they got tipped off that this butcher serial killer that they've been tracking is actually at this concert. And the issue, I think, is that I don't know, it just starts getting quite unrealistic. And obviously you're willing to let things go with a movie. I certainly am. I didn't hurt my enjoyment, but I think things start to really add up in terms of it being kind of unbelievable. Hartnett's character just has a lot of freedom of movement as he's really trying to figure out where to go, and he doesn't seem to ever be noticed, which kind of stands out even amongst a crowd. He's around 20,000 people, but still, I don't know, there's some issues where he's ducking into a kitchen, grabbing an apron when he's pickpocketing the merch sales guy and going out back. There's just ways he would have been caught. I feel that we just kind of let go. The fact that no one noticed him fucking with the fryer in the kitchen to make an opening for himself. The stuff like that. I don't know. Also, the fact that he's able to tell the pop star Lady Raven's uncle in the crowd, tell him that his daughter has leukemia and therefore she should be picked for the special thing where they pick a person from the crowd to take backstage. Obviously we've been told that the only way to escape is through the backstage, and yet they somehow make it happen. I don't know, it just doesn't pass the smell test. he uses the excuse that his daughter has leukemia, makes up a lie. Like, obviously, this guy who's played by M. Night, and his a cameo in his movie, of course, the, obviously this guy would have heard those kind of stories before and wouldn't have fallen for that. Like, it just doesn't add up, you know. um, but like, obviously, the movie like really like kind of gets off the rails where they get to go backstage. Then they have Hartnett has a one-on-one with Lady Raven. Then they get a ride to back home in Lady Raven's limo, and then she comes into his house, and they do like, we're just really like kind of jumping the shark at this point. And then from there, like, he's able to escape the house through the secret tunnel. He's able to escape the car and the crowd and sneak back into the house. Like, a lot of that stuff, like, we're just like really like skipping ahead, it feels like, as a movie. Like, I feel like the movie was really fixed on the core trap in the beginning. Maybe it works a little bit better. You know, I think the mommy issues, motivations or lack thereof with Hartnett, I just don't think that was fully developed enough. So like the back half of the movie doesn't really hit those emotional beats as well. And I think Suleika as Lady Raven, I think overall she did pretty solidly in a debut, although like she doesn't really have the emotional range in some of like her one-on-one scenes with Hartnett, unsurprisingly. She is a musician, so it makes sense that she was convincing as a pop star. You know, I think she's supposed to convey like a Tate McRae type music, Olivia Rodrigo-ish energy, basically. And it works pretty well, honestly. I think I would have loved a little bit more development in Hartnett's like living double lives in terms of being like a genuine like family man and father and husband, and then also separately being this like brutal serial killer. You know, it's just like the movie tries to like color in his psyche, but doesn't really do it into the second half of the movie, so it doesn't really work for me, and doesn't help like distract you from the fact that the plot gets super contrived and ridiculous at the end. So I still kind of enjoyed it. I think based on Hartnett's performance, based on general unpredictability of the film, because I just wasn't expecting it to go the directions it went, you know. So I enjoy it. It's still a fun thriller movie, even if ultimately I think the flaws kind of beat you over the head by the end. But yeah, let me know, what did you think of M. Night Shyamalan's Trap? Did it work for you? Did the second half fall apart? Somewhere in between? Let me know what you thought. And for more movie reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.